Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 9th of January, now it's 15 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, but before I start, let me tell you that yesterday evening, I had a first live stream on my Rumble channel. It went quite okay. It was a testing stream, but it went quite okay. Community on Rumble did receive this live stream positively, and I'm grateful for this. So as I promised, I will try on daily basis from Monday to Friday have a live stream on Rumble in the evening time and share during the live stream episodes of Telegram reports, exclusive program for Rumble, which I do to generate additional interest among members of our community towards my Rumble channel. If you are watching this video on YouTube, please consider to join our Rumble community. Also, you can see links on this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. Well, today I'm a little short in time. I have to make some exclusive for Patreon community, also for Patreon page. So I don't know in which time I will have second update, or even if I will manage to make second update during the day. But let's talk about news first of all now. According to reports from Russian media and Russian Defense Ministry, there was no crucial changes on line of contact during the previous 12 to 24 hours. Therefore, I will start straight away with the news. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian air defense systems yesterday evening shut down 10 missiles from Ukrainian MLRS RM-70 Vampire over the Belgorod region, while these missiles from this MLRS were approaching Belgorod city itself. Unfortunately, at least some of those missiles seems like used to have cluster munitions, and some of those munitions fell down in the Belgorod area, and as a result of it, according to reports that I see, several people were injured and several buildings were damaged, also cars of local residents. Not the first and unfortunately not the last attempt of Kiev regime to target civilians on Russian soil. And exactly on this topic, TASS News Agency did report that since the 29th of December, 940 residential areas have been targeted. Residential buildings have been targeted in Belgorod by Kiev regime and damaged. Well, I guess this number is significantly higher now after yesterday's strike. According to more precise information, 800 flats in residential buildings have been damaged as a result of Ukrainian strikes on Belgorod, and 132 private housings. Right now, local government in Belgorod region and emergency services are doing their best to help local residents to rebuild their homes, and everything is done to make sure that infrastructure in the cities work properly. Unfortunately, as I said, this is not the first and not the last time when Belgorod and other Russian cities are experiencing fire from Kiev regime. RIA Novosti is reporting that on the border with Ukraine and Poland, as a result of protest actions of Polish farmers and truckers, more than 2,000 trucks are stuck now, and they are unable to cross the border. Polish farmers did promise that if government will not provide them with guarantees that their rights will be secured, they will continue their protests, blockade of border crossings, and they kept their word. And already more than 2,000 trucks are stuck on the border. Also, RT is reporting that Germany is calling on the rest of the EU to do more for Ukraine. EU member states should contribute more to bloc's assistance to Ukraine. German Finance Minister Christian Lindner has said Berlin cannot bear the bulk of burden alone. He told the Free Democratic Party's annual gathering in Stuttgart. A very similar statement was made yesterday, according to media outlets, by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz while he was in Luxembourg, if I'm not mistaken. He called other EU member states also to further increase their financial and military aid to Kiev regime, and well, finance minister repeated basically a statement of his chancellor. According to him, Germany has emerged as a second biggest single aid donor to Kiev over the course of its conflict with Russia. According to the Kiel Institute for World Economy, the nation has provided almost 23 billion in bilateral assistance to Ukraine. If the cost of providing for refugees is included, the US is the only nation that has spent more on aid for Kiev. Lindner told the Congress last Saturday that Moscow poses a danger to all of Europe, accusing it of not only seeking to sabotage Ukraine, but also to destroy the Western way of life by challenging their actual or alleged dominance of the liberal West. He added that the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine is a threat that is faced by Europe as a whole. Well, very delusional individual. I don't know about what European way of life he is talking about. Every single country in EU has its own way and its own traditions, its own culture. There is no united European culture. There is no united European tradition. It's all bias. There is no European principles. It's all mystification. It's all illusions that these so-called elites in Germany and in some other countries, in Brussels, are living in, when in reality Europe is no way gray mass as these so-called elites want to see it. Europe is well diverse, and every single country in EU has its own way, its own culture and tradition and history, and I don't think even German people understand what this idiot is talking about, this finance minister of Germany. And when it comes to threat, it's not Russia that escalating with Europe, it's with EU. It's EU and EU member states, significant number of them at least, that are escalating with Moscow. So who is the threat here for stability in Europe? That's a big question. But anyway, let's continue. And RIA Novosti is reporting that according to media reports, Netanyahu did ask leadership of United Arab Emirates several weeks ago to provide funding for residents of West Bank that are unable now to travel to Israel for work. And well, UAE leadership was, and president of UAE, according to reports, and in this particular case, according to Axios media portal, president of UAE Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan denied this request from Israel, and he was very much surprised that Israeli leadership think for themselves that for whatever reason UAE will pay wages or salaries for West Bank residents that are unable to go to their workplaces because of the actions of Israeli government. So if anyone should pay or compensate these people, it's Israeli government, which is absolutely logical. What UAE has to do with it, with this. Well, also interesting point that president of UAE did told Netanyahu that if he has some issues with fundings, then he should ask Zelensky for help, because Zelensky is receiving quite a substantial amount of money from outside Ukraine. So it was a sarcastic, ironic answer from UAE's leadership to Netanyahu, which does highlights attitude, definitely highlights attitude of regional countries towards Netanyahu and his government. They don't deserve any respect at all, not just in the Middle East, but worldwide. I cannot imagine who can really have any respect for these mass murderers, Netanyahu and his government. I mean, how decent human being can respect these mass murderers? It's just not possible. And I feel sorry for Israelis that they have such a abysmal leadership that they have. And I remind you, dear friends, that according to latest reports that I see, rating of Netanyahu in Israel is only 15%. So I'm not taking argument when not just government of Israel are criticized, but also society in Israel. I'm not buying it because, well, social studies are proving that only 15% supports Netanyahu. So Netanyahu and his government are acting on their own without support of Israeli society. Let's continue, and RT is reporting that Biden won't fire Pentagon's chief, according to Politico, which is not surprising, really. It's a military-industrial complex that can fire Biden, but Biden cannot fire any appointee of military-industrial complex, including Lloyd Austin, and as long as he is capable of acting as a defense secretary, he will probably remain in his position. And I remind you, dear friends, that Lloyd Austin is hospitalized more than a week now, and for first 3 or 4 days, White House was not informed about it. State Department was not informed that Lloyd Austin was hospitalized, and even deputy of Lloyd Austin was not informed about it. So even within the Pentagon, high-ranking officials did not know, including potentially someone who will act on behalf of Lloyd Austin if something will happen with him. Even he didn't know that Austin was hospitalized. So this bizarre story does definitely highlights attitude of, as I mentioned a few times before in my updates, attitude of U.S. military-industrial complex towards leadership of U.S. They think they are real rulers and they don't have to, report anything to anybody. That's their attitude, and they prove it with this story of Lloyd Austin, who has to be fired, of course, man. He has to be fired, no questions about it, because it's just total nonsense that defense secretary is leaving his job for a week now, and not president, not anybody in the government, and not even his deputies are informed about it. I mean, what's going on in the Washington, man? It's just really too crazy. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Well, another very strange statements have been made in Europe, this time in Sweden. And I did report about it on my Telegram and in yesterday's live stream on Rumble in Telegram reports program. But I will repeat in this update also because news is quite interesting that Sweden's top officials have urged their people to prepare for a possible war aimed the rising tensions with Russia. The ministers made the statement at the multi-day Volk och Forsvar National Conference in Salem. In his speech on Saturday, Foreign Minister of Sweden, Tobias Billström, hailed his country's expected membership into US-led NATO military bloc as the biggest change in Swedish security policy in more than 200 years. Billström warned that Russia will constitute a serious threat to the security of Sweden and Europe for the foreseeable future. He admitted that Stockholm must be realistic and assume and be prepared for a drawn-out confrontation. Yet again, leadership in the Europe are intentionally lying to people to prepare society for a possible significant increase in defense spendings, so that there will be no questions asked, or they are just too delusional. They are too paranoid with this Russophobia and anti-Russian hysteria, and they may really think that here in Russia we are just sleeping and dreaming how we're gonna attack this country in Europe and that country in Europe, which is total nonsense, isn't it? Why would Russia ever attack any country in Europe unprovoked? Why? I mean, it does not make any sense, and all Western so-called elites have to somehow give public any argument. They are saying, you know what, they will attack because that's what they are. That's what they do. They always attack, which is total nonsense yet again. Just take a look at the history. It was Russia that was attacked constantly from European states, including Sweden, by the way. It was Russia that constantly was under attack from Europe. Just take a look in history of last 200, 300, 400 years, and you will see it. But yet again, most likely because of this anti-Russian history and extreme levels of paranoia in Europe, these high-ranking officials are at this point they have some tunnel vision, and they cannot help themselves. They cannot help themselves. They have to be replaced as soon as possible, really, because they are really creating dangers for their own societies, first of all, and because of their paranoia, they may act in such a irresponsible manner that they may provoke some confrontation. They may really provoke some confrontation, which is going to be devastating. So I don't know. Hopefully, societies in Europe will realize how delusional their elites really are, and will act on it and achieve some changes, because this is just too crazy, man. This is really too crazy. Now, and what is most important, people should always communicate, ordinary people like us, from Russia and from Europe, so that we will know better. We will know better, and we would not become under influence of this crazy propaganda that, you know, Russia is planning to attack anybody. If we are not communicating, ordinary people, if people's diplomacy is not working, then unfortunately these so-called elites in the West will succeed to create enemies from us, and that's gonna be really devastating. So we cannot allow this to happen, man. Me personally, I can speak on my behalf. I don't see as an enemy nobody in Europe, absolutely. And I'm 100% sure 90% of society here, at least, thinks the same, because I mean we are too busy, man. We don't think in this way that this is my enemy, this is not, and we just don't think about it at all. You know, we are too busy with our day-to-day life. Yes, I do see threats from ruling class of the West, but I always separate ruling class of the West and society, and the majority does same stuff, I believe. After all, Brussels bureaucrats have not been voted by nobody. NATO bureaucrats have not been voted, and we all know that majority of governments in EU member states are puppets of Washington and London. So, of course, one should always separate actions and statements of the so-called elites of the West and the rest of the society. But anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Germany is taking U-turn on Saudi warplane deal. Germany has dropped its opposition to the sales of nearly 50 Eurofighter Typhoon warplanes, fighter jets, to Saudi Arabia. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock announced on Sunday. Baerbock's Green Party has steadily dismantled its long-standing policy of pacifism since the conflict in Ukraine escalated in February 2022. Germany halted all arms sales to Saudi Arabia in 2018 in response to Riyadh's war in Yemen and the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. At the time, Saudi Arabia has taken delivery of 72 Typhoons, but the embargo left remaining 48 ordered planes by the kingdom on indefinite hold, and now Saudi Arabia will receive this additional 48 fighter jets, although it will take quite some time, of course, before manufacturer will build these planes, if they are already not built and are stocked somewhere in Germany. Interesting news, I'm quite sure. Israeli Defense Force and Secret Services are watching this development and are not very happy that Saudi Arabia is receiving latest Western fighter jets or military equipment, but well, it is what it is. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Financial Times, they had several forecasts for 2024, and I will share with you this information. You tell me how close to reality Financial Times is. So according to this magazine, this newspaper, this media outlet, in 2024, in presidential elections, Joe Biden will win over the Trump. I don't think so, but yet again, I'm not in the US, and I don't know which politician really has what level of support. Another prediction is from Financial Times that there will be no big wars on the Middle East or in the Asia. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so, that there will be no regional conflict, regional war in the Middle East or military conflicts in Asia. I'm all in support of this prediction. Also, according to Financial Times, Brussels and Washington will continue financial aid for Kiev regime. Well, maybe they will, at least for time being, continue definitely to support Kiev regime, at least on some level, because without Western financial support, state institutions in Ukraine will collapse in 2-3 months' time, and World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and other financial institutions, global financial institutions, already stated that without Western aid, Ukraine will not survive. Ukraine's state system, state institutions will not survive even half of a year, few months, and they are done. And I remind you, dear friends, that when it comes to Ukraine, millions of people are receiving salaries and pensions from funds that Kyiv regime takes from West. Millions of people. And one more prediction from Financial Times, that X or Twitter will become bankrupt in 2024. Well, that's possibility. I guess, especially because of this conflict between Elon Musk and some potential advertisers on Twitter. Twitter or X is losing these big companies as advertisers, and maybe Musk wants to bankrupt this company, X. Maybe that's what his goal is for this moment. TASS news agency is also reporting that, former Prime Minister of France, Elisabeth Borne, resigned. That's why she's former, but she will continue to act as a head of government until new cabinet will be formed in France. I don't know France's internal policies well enough to have any clue why Prime Minister resigned in France, what is behind this development. But whatever the case, I guess French society was not really happy with its government anyway, because French economy is not really in the best shape, that's for sure. Also interesting news that US air carrier detects loose bolts on grounded Boeing 737 planes. United Airlines has discovered inadequately secured door plugs on the Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes that is grounded in the wake of last week's mid-air blowout of the Alaska Airlines flight, raising new safety concerns about aircraft that was previously suspended from flying following 2 deadly crashes. Well, Boeing 737 definitely not safe plane, absolutely, and Boeing as a company is in decline. And I don't think any planes from Boeing at this point can be taken as a safe planes. I don't know what is going on with Boeing, but I guess we can have make some parallels between Boeing and United States itself. Both are in decline. That's what is happening basically. Boeing is declining in a very same direction that United States are declining, and that's a result of it. Quality control in Boeing is abysmal, I guess, because how are you gonna have loose bolts on a plane, for God's sake, plane? But that's how it is, man. RT is reporting, and without state. Yet again, I'm not U.S. citizen, and our friends from U.S. will know better, of course, and they can share their opinion. But I think system in U.S. is so much corrupt and so inadequate that this system has to be replaced completely with something new. Because you cannot modernize or build on current system. It's just, it will not work. So new system have to be built, but is it even possible in current situation? Who gonna do it? I mean, who gonna build new system in the US? It's necessary, but I don't think it's possible. And therefore, decline of US will only accelerate. That's the way it is. RT is also reporting that Russia will never return to the West. According to Russian business ombudsman, Russia is finally focused on the reorganizing trade and business cooperation towards the global East and South and away from the West. Presidential Business Rights Commissioner Boris Titov told RIA Novosti in an interview published on Monday. According to official, the country's pivot away from the West is not a political decision, not something done out of spite of malice, but a course chosen for purely economic reasons. It's just that the West is already a closed chapter. It is, if you like, think of the past for humanity. The future is the East, the so-called global South, Titov stated, adding that it is unlikely that Russia would pursue economic cooperation with the Western countries in the future. Well, I did spoke about it in my yesterday's stream on Rumble, and I have to say I'm disappointed, really. And I think it's unfortunate that relationships between Russia and European states, majority of European states, Russia and US, deteriorated so much so that at this point, it don't even seems theoretically possible to rebuild relationships, at least sometime in the future. That's how bad situation really is, especially because of the lack of trust. How anybody in Russian government ever trust Western capitals? Is it even possible? No. And therefore, well, Titov, I guess, is correct, and this redirection of Russia, the direction of Russian economy towards global East, global South, away from the West, is unstoppable process at this point. And if you remember, I did said quite a few times before that in my opinion, Europe, for example, with Russia, will definitely maintain its strong position on a global map as a major global player. But Europe without Russia, eventually in time, like 10, 15, 20 years time, will become just a somewhat irrelevant province of Eurasian continent. And that's a destination that EU is heading right now, EU member states, and the very same can be said about collective West in general. Because of the actions of their governments, the elites, ruling class of the West, collective West is declining in rapid speed, rapidly. And I don't think anybody can deny this. This is just too obvious. And me personally, I'm not happy about it, because I don't like that relationships between Russia and Western states are in such a terrible place right now. I truly don't, but no one asked me, isn't it? Anything about relationships between countries. Anyway, this is it for this short update. I hope it's short. Yes, 33 minutes. I hope you will find this. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary, and share video with your friends. It will definitely help to develop this project a little bit faster, and these channels on both platforms, YouTube and Rumble. And if you think this project with several channels is interesting, informative, useful, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. As I mentioned in the beginning, I have to work today to make exclusive content for Patreon, and therefore I don't know at what time I will be able to upload the second update or next episode of Telegram reports on Rumble. I will try my best to manage to make all the additional updates for a day. Let's see how it will goes. Anyway, thank you for your attention. Have a great day and take care. Bye for now.